Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Elliot Rhoades, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about a genre of literature, and it's called the postmodern genre of literature, also known as the contemporary period. And this genre of literature started just at the end of World War II, and it continues even to this day. It's been going for I think about 65 to 70 years now, and we're going to talk about how the role of a hero in this era has changed from previous eras, like the Romantic era and the modern era at the turn of the century. So first off, we have to talk about what exactly is the postmodern period and where does it come from? What's the historical context? So the turn of the century started with modernism, and these modernism had ideas that modern technology would solve man's problems, that we could fix things. There was also the contrast there with feeling of the individual being alone and also being lost in the big city. So the modern era had kind of this hope that technology was going to save mankind. Also, that the individual is getting lost in the big city. The modern era was shattered by two major events, World War I and its follow-up 20 years later, World War II. These wars used the machinery of industrialization to destroy human beings on an unbelievable scale. So this hope that society would get better kind of fell apart, certainly in World War I. The utter destruction of human beings with machine guns, poison gas, and the technologies of warfare. This was followed up in World War II with even more powerful weapons, and culminated at the end of the war with the world waking up to the Holocaust, the wholesale annihilation of a group of people using machinery and organization and efficiency that was just utterly unheard of and disgusting to the world. How could humans treat each other like this? And the capstone of the modern era at the end of World War II was the development of the atomic bomb and dropping it on the city of Hiroshima, killing tens of thousands of people all at once, and leaving writers with a feeling of complete loss. Where do we go from here as a people? What are we doing? So this ushers in the postmodern age. And when America is prosperous, the baby boom is going on, and people are employed, the economy is growing, and things are good. People are settling into suburbs. But for a whole group of people, certain writers and artists, this was not the life that they chose, life that they wanted to live. They wanted to rebel against this conformity and conservatism and break out of it in every way possible. And that's where the themes of the 1950s postmodern literature come into view. And one of the novels that kicked this off was J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye, a novel of teen angst, young man dissatisfied with the way he saw society. And this novel was very rebellious and inspired so many people in the 50s because it didn't conform to the society at the time. J.D. Salinger's novel was an inspiration for a group of people that came shortly after, known as the Beat Generation. This included Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, William Burroughs, who wrote novels about people falling out of society, everything from prostitutes, drug addicts, crime, Eastern philosophy, mysticism, and the overall idea that they're dissatisfied with what American culture has to offer, and they're looking for something else. So in 1951, Jack Kerouac publishes On the Road, a story of autobiographical story of himself and his friend Neil Cassidy, whose name is Dean Moriarty in the book. and they crisscross the country back and forth, looking for kicks, thrills, taking drugs, drinking heavily, abandoning responsibility, and looking for an authentic, real form of life that is the antithesis of the typical American neighborhood at that time, way of living. Another writer of that time was William Burroughs' 1957 novel Naked Lunch, which is about drug addiction and falling out of society, sex, drugs, all kinds of stuff that was shocking for the 50s. But again, it's talking about a version of society that is different from what the mainstream has to offer, and much different from what Americans are supposed to be, how they're supposed to be behaving. And so in On the Road, the main character, Dean Moriarty, can be seen as somewhat of a postmodern hero. He has an origin story. He was born on the highway in an old jalopy outside of Salt Lake City in 1926. His parents were flying down the highway, and he's born on the road, literally. And there's a story from his youth where he's been left by his father at a train station, and he travels to LA at 11 years old all by himself, and he works and lives in hobo camps, and really gets in touch with the side of society that is not common at this time in America. So Dean is a rebellious, intelligent, wise, and really the type of anti-hero that a certain segment of society, American society, was looking for at this time. Dean had a lot of flaws. He was a criminal. He abandoned responsibility, but he also, in a sense, formed a kind of role model for the people that didn't want to live the typical lifestyle in America after World War II. So I would recommend digging into the book On the Road. Check out Dean. He's a wild man out looking for kicks, looking for thrills. He never stops. He's zipping from here to there, abandoning all responsibility and not being a good person, but also setting an example for people who aren't ready to settle down in the America that we see and leave it to beaver. All right, that's it. My name is Elliot Rhoades, and I hope you've enjoyed my presentation, and I encourage you to check out The Beat Generation, especially On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Thank you.